Yo, what's up? In this video, we're going to be talking about the second part of quitting caffeine. Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode here at Sobriety University. Class is back in session, and today we're going to be diving into the second part of this 4-part series in quitting caffeine. So in the last video, we discussed the history of quitting caffeine, and the question I posed was, what has your history been? Kind of pretty obvious. So on that note, I think it's going to be pretty obvious what the question for this video is going to be, and instead of waiting to the end, just going to get right into it, and that is, why do you want to quit caffeine? Or if you have quit already, why did you want to quit caffeine? I think both questions are very important and can shed some light on this process, and internally and externally as well. I know I'd love to hear on some of the motivations you guys have to quit this substance. Like I said in the other video, I know it's one that's kind of widely accepted, globally accepted. It doesn't have as severe consequences as like heroin, for example, so it can kind of fly under the radar. So diving right in, the first reason I wanted to quit caffeine is because there were some family members that drink caffeine, and I noticed that they had a lot of anxiety. And as a child, I could not kind of make the correlation that maybe this substance was contributing to that. Now though, being older and having gone through it, I can kind of see like, okay, maybe they were correlated. Again, correlation doesn't equal causation. However, the two can definitely be intertwined, I believe, and in this case I think it was. And so seeing the example of some of the folks that I was raised by, I was like, okay, I kind of want to stay away from this pattern as much as possible. And although I did fall into the addiction for sure, so it didn't really work, having that kind of motivation was kind of what started to get the wheels spinning and getting out of the substance and out of the addiction. So it kind of went full circle and played its part, maybe a little later than I wish it would have. However, it did, and I feel gratitude for that. So that's number one. Now, the next reason I wanted to quit was because financial and just time saving. So these kind of two, I think, go in this one and the same, because I think when making money, it's like time is required to do that. And I just found that I was spending maybe 30 minutes a day going to the shop, the goods, to get the goods. And I just remember kind of thinking, wow, I'm spending so much time and energy every single day going to get this stuff. Like, how much time and energy would I have if I just stopped? And that was a huge motivator for sure. I think had I been into coffee, I would have done the same thing with Starbucks. So the next question I have is, maybe how is some of your time being used by addiction to caffeine? So number 3 is creativity. And I found that whenever I would do a creative project consuming caffeine, I would kind of feel this sense of guilt, like I wasn't really doing it, or the universe wasn't really doing it. It was the caffeine that was doing it. The energy that was coming was from the caffeine. So I felt that then translated into the project I was working on. So I make music, see with a little keyboard back there. And I found that with each addiction I've quit, the music has gotten a little better. And that might also be from just experience and practicing and stuff. However, I remember just noticing big breakthroughs every time I quit something, and including with caffeine, I noticed that the music I was making was much more centered. I wasn't everything wasn't just bouncing out up and down like how I kind of was on caffeine, just kind of so hyped with energy. And yeah, I can say today that the music is a lot better, and I really appreciate that. So now I found that when I was consuming caffeine, yeah, maybe I could do more in a day because I had much more like juice. However, the quality wasn't as good, and yeah, usually the end result wasn't as good either, and I would feel burnt out, and yeah, it was just becoming a bit of a cycle. So third question for today is, what creative thing that are you doing that could be improved without caffeine, or that you might think would be improved without caffeine? And vice versa, for those who have quit, what got better when you quit caffeine in terms of creativity? So another thing I found too with creativity was that relationships got a little better too, because I wasn't just kind of trying to get out of there. It was like I could actually focus and be present and really speak what I wanted to speak, and use that creativity to have engaging conversation, to joke around and stuff and have fun. And that's kind of something I've always wanted with addiction and stuff, and I never got it because, well, it's addiction. That's the exact opposite. So that's number 3, creativity. Number 4 is going to be just the fact that it's addictive. And I know that one might be a little obvious. I'm going to explain a little more. So what does that mean? That it's addictive, I gotta quit. Well, anything that I found that brings pleasure, it's important that I keep a close eye on, because what I have found with this journey in addiction recovery and sobriety is that everything that I have been addicted to, I once really loved. Like, just adored it. Weed, loved it. Alcohol, so much fun. Let's see, sugar. Obviously, since I was like a little kid, just jonesing for them sweets. And kind of the same with caffeine. I wasn't jonesing for caffeine, however, I did enjoy some of the things that came with it, just like that short-term heightened energy. I remember in the last video I talked about I like to go golf, and when I was drinking caffeine, I could just slam that thing, and that was really fun. And so anything that does kind of enhance life to an artificial way, it's something that always kind of triggers a red flag now, and I'm like, okay, hold on a sec, let's slow down a bit. So even with music, as I was saying in the last example, which is a creative passion, super, I would say there's health in it, there's sanity in it. I can overdo it and I can make it an obsession, and there have been many times where I was addicted to listening to music, addicted to making music, addicted to fantasizing about having a career in music, addicted to buying music. And so now I have to just be really careful that I use the time I have wisely with it. So taking days off, taking breaks, letting the ears reset, and kind of just completely forgetting about it, just like throwing it on the desk and just letting it be. The keyboard, actually, I don't even use really for music. I use it to keep the light from coming out of the door from the hallway. So again, it's just like finding ways to make things non-addictive, I found, has been super important. And coming back into caffeine here, which is obviously the title of this video, I found that this was not a substance I wanted to be using for the rest of life. And I knew that had I continued to use it, there would be a time where I'd feel regret, and I would have wished that 20 years ago, back when I was in the 20s, which I am now, that I would have just kind of sucked it up and gone through it and just quit. I know that message can be a little scary and a little intimidating. However, I think it's a really important thing to consider in this process is, like, 10 years from now, when I look back 10 years from that moment, will I be happy with the decisions I made, or will I feel regret? And that's been a huge motivator, and just kind of being willing to step into that pain and discomfort for the short period to get rid of whatever X, Y, or Z. And with caffeine, I felt that too. I was like, okay, so I got an opportunity here. It's going to hurt. And I know that the results, though, are going to be way worth it. And I'm willing to do it. So with that being said, I know caffeine has the potential to become very addictive. Just what it does in the mind and the body and the soul and all that, just kind of, it's a drug. It is a drug, and it's maybe not the worst drug out there. However, it's still out there. So that's number 4. The 5th and final reason that I want to quit, and I just thought of this one, was that caffeine reduces life expectancy. Hey, I'm going to this disclaimer. I don't know if this is 100% true or not. I heard it from a trusted source, and I'm sure there's plenty of research on it. So take this one with a grain of salt. What I heard, though, was that the caffeine, it does speed up the aging process. It just speeds up all the cells in the body, henceforth the intense energy that comes from it, and that over time it can increase the rate of aging. And that's why people that have drank caffeine for a long time, they start to look kind of old at the middle ages, like in their 40s, or even late 30s. It's like they look a lot older than they actually are. and I think that has to do with caffeine. So that's something I definitely wanted to stay away from, is that increased aging process. Hey, I know I'm gonna pass one day. I'm gonna be old and wrinkly one day. I'm gonna try to prevent that as much as possible, because why not? It's just something to do, and it's an act of appreciating what I have and trying to preserve as much as possible. That being said, though, I can't get attached to that, so it's a good reminder to let that go as well. Anyway, though, just something that was kind of a motivator, and it was actually the straw that broke the camel's back when I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Like the consequences outweigh the positives at this point, and the fact that it increases aging was that final catalyst. So with that, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna wrap it up for today. I appreciate anyone that stuck through and that's been enjoying this series. I really appreciate it. Likes and comments are always welcome, and subscriptions as well. Helps the channel grow and stuff, and it's just cool to see that people are engaging with this and gaining value from this. So again, please feel free to comment below with the questions. The main one for today, again, is why did you decide to quit caffeine, and or why do you want to quit caffeine? Both valid questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. So thanks again. Stay tuned for the next one. We're going to be talking about the how. So this is the real juice. So thank you guys so much. Talk to you in the next one. Peace.